Hello my precious little dragons, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me today. So for those of you who are new here, my name is Callista and I make videos about mostly books and some beauty thrown in. So today is a beauty focused video, as you could probably tell by the title. So I've been subscribed to Boxycharm for well over a year now, and I did Ipsy for quite a few years before that. I canceled my Ipsy late last year and I just recently decided to cancel my Boxycharm. So I have my very last Boxycharm ever here. I have already looked at everything and I've used a couple of the I used one of the things once and I swatched one of the things. Anyway, I haven't used everything and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about, like, A, why I canceled Boxycharm, B, try out the products I received in my last box, and then C, talk a little bit about whether I regret it at all or if I think I could ever potentially do Boxycharm again, and just sort of give a little bit of information, because I feel like usually you only ever see unboxings, and so I felt it would be interesting to try out the products while I've already canceled my subscription and talk a little bit about that. So that's what we're doing today. So, last Boxycharm ever. So, the products I got, first I got the OPV Beauty Spotlight Eyeshadow Palette. So it does have this really gorgeous color story. It kind of reminds me of the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder palette. I believe that's what it's called. I'll put a picture up on the screen. But it kind of reminded me of that same sort of dark, jewel tone, grungy sort of style. So I did think that it looked good. It says, "The diverse array of shades ensure your looks stand out, featuring the essential matte shades to create depth. From subtle golden shimmers all the way to blue metallic, the possibilities are endless. Created with all skin tones in mind, the formula is smooth, buttery, and highly pigmented." So the retail price for this is $40. And just for context, if you aren't familiar with Boxycharm, all of the boxes are $25 a month. Unfortunately, that only applies to the lower 48 in the US, so as soon as I moved to Alaska, there's a flat rate $5 shipping added to that, so I was technically paying $30 a month for this, which was definitely a factor in canceling. I know it's just an extra $5, but it's still an extra $5. I'm going to include swatches of all of the shades. Now, my first impression, and I'm going to work with this when I do the look later in the video, but my first impression just swatching the shades is that I wasn't super impressed. Granted, I have tried a lot of different eyeshadows, so obviously what works for me may not work for everybody, but I did feel like the pigment was sort of lacking, and I feel like these shimmers, like, you can already sort of see where I've swatched them, which I'll see if I can show. I probably can't. But if you can sort of see where I've swatched them, like, they look like they might be the type that develops hard pan, and some of them seemed a lot more pigmented than others. Like, for instance, this Exhibit shade actually seems really pretty. Like, it swatches really pretty. Like, I have no issues with that. But then, yeah. Okay, so this dirty Martini shade here, it swatches okay, but, like, it just doesn't have quite the high level of shine that it promises in the pan. It just sort of feels like it blends out into, like, this kind of, like, middling, not quite sparkle shimmer, not quite satin sort of shift, and it's just kind of weird. So I feel like the pigment isn't quite where I'd want it to be. Like, if I'd gotten this for $40, I would be a little bit put off. I feel like it would be more in the 20 and under range, but they might perform different on the eye, because just because something doesn't show up as pigmented on a swatch doesn't mean it's not going to work well on the eye, because obviously the techniques you use are very different between using a brush or your finger and patting it on, and they may show up a lot better if you wet your brush or use a glitter glue or something like that. It just may be one of those palettes you have to work with. Hard to say. Next, I have the First Aid Beauty Hello Fab Coconut Skin Smoothie Priming Moisturizer, which is a little bit of a mouthful. This says, formulated with coconut water and other superfood ingredients, this complexion enhancing moisturizer brightens, hydrates, and smooths while helping blur the appearance of pores. The result is beautiful, healthy looking skin when worn alone and long-lasting makeup when used as a prep step. So the retail value for this is $30 and it comes with 1.7 fluid ounces. So I do tend to love First Aid Beauty, so I was not mad to get this, and I like priming moisturizers a lot. So I feel like this is something I could definitely use. We'll just have to see how it feels on the skin and everything as to whether I would really use it as a primer or whether I would just use it as a sort of day moisturizer before I like put on sunscreen or anything like that. So next we have the Touch in Sol Pretty Filter Glowdient Makeup Palette. So this one is a multi-face palette with gorgeous gradient shades that use your own natural beauty to glisten, bronze, and add some perfect flirty flush. The retail value for this is $34 and it is a new launch. Swatching this, I am on the extreme side of pale, so I would really only be able to use like these first three shades as anything on my face. I could maybe, if I was bold and used a very light hand, use these as maybe cheek toppers, but that would be really pushing it. I would probably feel more comfortable using these as eyeshadows, but I'm just going to be honest, I never ever reach for face palettes when I'm doing my eyes. I'm just going to use an eyeshadow palette, especially if I'm reaching for like a shimmery sort of anything. So basically I have 5 shades in an admittedly pretty palette, but I'm only going to use 3 of them, and maybe, I don't know. This one here is also weird because like I feel like it's a highlight shade. It's not really meant to be a blush topper, but I would have to use it as a blush topper because it's too dark to be used as a highlighter. Like, yeah, like I can use this shade as a highlighter. That's pretty much it. I think this one, it's just way too dark for me personally to use as a highlighter on its own. It would be a pretty inner corner highlight. This one for me, just at first glance, isn't as much of a hit as I wanted it to be, but I'm going to do my best to try and use as much of it as I can in this video to try and give it some versatility, but we'll see what happens. Next is the this is the Luna Magic Beauty Va Va Voom Pink Lash Primer. This says, with just one sweep, this innovative primer mascara glides on evenly to coat and smooth your lashes to maximize the final result of your favorite mascara. It has a natural wax formula with a creamy texture and a new and innovative emulsifier which adds volume and extra length. It's easy to apply and long lasting. This retails for $25 and it is also a new launch. Okay, so this is the one I have tried. I've tried it under mascara. I didn't notice a huge difference, but what I'm actually going to do today, since I'm not going anywhere for the rest of the day, is I'm going to put it on one eye and not put it on the other and see if it makes a difference in my mascara. Okay, but my main problem with this just so far is actually the smell. So, yeah, it hasn't gone away. Okay, so this may be a very specific thing, so if you don't live in the Midwest and this is like regionally specific and you have no idea what I'm talking about, apologies in advance. But what it instantly reminds me of is, okay, so I used to live like on a farm near fields, and at harvest every single year, like all of the fake ladybugs, you know, the like little orangey ones that have the spots like ladybugs but aren't real ladybugs, yeah, they all come out of the fields because it's being harvested, so where they've been all summer they can no longer be. So they crowd your window at your house and a lot of them get crushed and they release this smell. It smells so nasty and I can't really, I'm trying to think of how to describe it for someone who hasn't smelled crushed fake ladybugs. I think they're called June bugs? No, they're not June bugs. Hold on. Fake ladybugs. Oh yeah, Asian lady beetles. Why did I think June bugs? But basically, it's kind of this earthy dirt smell, but with like a tinge of something bitter at the end. That's the best way I can think of to describe it. And so this smell reminds me strongly of it, so I don't think I would usually try and apply this to my lashes just because that smell is really off-putting. But there's that one. And then our very last product is the Lovescript Wild Lavender Body Wash. It says, this luxurious, super thick daily body cleanser creates an Epic Velvety Foam with just a dollop. Put it directly onto your bath poof or pour it into bath for delicious velvety bubbles. The wild lavender fragrance will soothe and elevate your senses. And this retails for $28 and it comes with 6 fluid ounces. Okay, so let's do the fun part where we add up the value of everything and see what it comes out to. So the value of the box comes out to $157, which means it is $127 more value than I paid for, which again, on paper, everything with Boxycharm is really good. They're always going to give you way more in value than you pay. But it's a matter of whether you feel it's worth it or not, whether you're actually going to use these products or are they just going to sit and waste. While I start to do my makeup, I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience with Boxycharm and why I ended up canceling it. First though, I am going to just give this a smell, which I've done already, but obviously this is a body wash and I'm not taking you into my shower with me. I'm sorry, we're just not at that point in our relationship yet. Anyway, so this does smell very lovely of lavender, and I do love body washes. So this I'm excited to get. I feel like, what's the price for it? It's like, isn't it, it's like 38? 28. So $28 for 6 fluid ounces feels a little bit expensive to me because honestly, there's body washes that are like $6 that smell just as nice and I get more product. So I would probably never repurchase this, but I'm happy I have it in my box. You know, it's one of those types of products. So we're going to use everything else though. So I initially got Boxycharm because it seemed like the elevated version of Ipsy. I was really excited for getting full-size products instead of deluxe samples. I was like, you know, I can swing the $25 a month, it's okay, it'll be fine. And I do like the access to the add-ons and all of that stuff. So it just really seemed like it would be a good fit, and for quite a while it was. Okay, quick pause. I'm not sure I like the smell of this. I mean, it smells like fake coconut. I'm not the biggest coconut person, but I don't necessarily know that I like that smell. It feels okay though. It went on kind of like a gel. I wouldn't say my skin feels a little more tacky than moisturized, so it might actually work better as a primer than a moisturizer. It does decently okay at filling pores. My skin is pretty textured right now, so I'm not expecting miracles. But yeah, that works okay. Given how it feels, I would probably choose to use this as a primer over a moisturizer. $30 feels a little expensive for it, but what you gonna do? And I have plenty of primers, so this is going to last me a while. Okay, back to the Boxycharm. So I'm gonna do my best not to smell that. I don't know why it's tempting, so I gotta remind myself I'm just doing it on my right eye. Anyway, so what I do like is I love the variety. I love just the surprise. I mean, part of the joy of subscription boxes is just kind of getting a gift, a surprise from yourself every month. And I really enjoy that aspect of it. And I did like being able to have the choice of one product. I think that, you know, adds a little bit of extra. I feel like that adds a little bit of extra value. Just knowing that it's something that you want, or at least prefer more than the other things. There's definitely been some months where I haven't really wanted anything, but I still chose because the other option is just having them randomly pick something, and you don't want to end up with the thing you really don't want, because there's been a couple times that sort of thing has happened, like especially the banana souffle thing from Pharmacy has been on there quite a few times, and as a person who is allergic to bananas, I was like, okay, I have to choose something because I don't want to get bananas when I literally can't have that on my skin. Anyway, so like I said, it went well for quite a while and I was really excited to have all the variety. And one thing I really loved about Boxycharm was their add-ons. Like, they have stuff massively marked down and you really are able to actually like get some really neat products for way less than their retail value. Like, I know they partner with like Fenty and Natasha Denona a lot, so you are able to get some of those really higher end things marked down, which was why I held on as long as I did, because I really liked the add-ons. I'm like, even if I'm not liking the box as much, I'm still getting a good deal when it comes to these add-ons. But then I'm like, I'm trying to be more conscious of the stuff I buy, and my makeup collection is pretty big at this point, so I'm like kind of getting that buyer's fatigue, and I'm like, well, I'm paying the $30 every month, and then you might spend extra on top of it, and a lot of like the home style stuff that they were like having on there just seemed to be getting like weirder or worse, and I was like, I just don't know anymore. It just felt like it wasn't doing it for me anymore. Like I said, that kind of just went on for a few months, and it felt like the brands that they were partnering with were just brands I wasn't interested in anymore, or, you know, if they were brands I hadn't heard of, like it didn't feel like they were great quality brands. Like, you know, I love supporting indie brands, I love supporting new brands, but, you know, sometimes the quality just wasn't there, and when you're paying for something, you do want the quality to be better. So, I don't know, I was just kind of getting disenchanted with it. And I had the same problem with my Ipsy, which is why I eventually canceled that as well, and I hadn't used those add-ons for ages because they just always seemed to be the same brands, and I just wasn't interested. And then I wasn't interested in the samples that they were giving either, so I was like, okay, done with Ipsy, and then a few months later, I'm like, okay, done with Boxycharm. So I have gotten quite a few things I've liked from them. Like I said, some of the add-ons that I've gotten were really, really good. I have gotten a few of the Natasha Denona things that have popped up. I've gotten some of the Fenty things that have popped up, just a few random things here and there. I've gotten a couple really good coffee cups from them. Like a really random thing to say, like, oh, I got my coffee cups from Boxycharm. But they did really have some fun sort of home style or jewelry options in there. There was a few times where I would get something and I would just give it away to a friend or my mom if I thought that they would have more use for said item than I did, but keeping in mind that everything I also have to pay shipping with because I no longer live in the lower 48. So that was just like that added little piece that I wasn't as thrilled with anymore. So the other thing is, like I said, I really just was slowly getting less and less impressed by the quality of the items. Like, I just felt like a lot of the stuff I was getting was sort of mediocre. It wasn't things I was really interested in or wouldn't use as much. And at this point, I feel like I know makeup well enough that I can sort of tell when things are just okay quality. But they'll give you like a retail value of like, this eyeshadow palette is $50. And you're like, this feels like ColourPop, you know? Which, if you're paying ColourPop prices, then yeah, of course, it's really good. But I feel like they sort of inflate the value of things a lot, and, you know, maybe it's the brands, maybe it's, you know, Boxycharm themselves, but it really just felt like, even though you're only technically paying $30, it feels like you're still not getting your money's worth, because you're paying $30, but they're promising that you're going to get $150 worth of value. But I would rather save up and buy something that I know is going to be really, really good value, as opposed to consistently getting meh products and just building up my collection to the point where I have so much stuff I don't know what to do with it. You know, I would rather have, you know, I have a few higher end things, and I feel like a good example of this is bronzer. So like, being very pale, I have to be very careful which face products I get, because a lot of them just frankly are not going to work with my skin tone. So like, I saved up and got the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer because it is one of the very, very few ridiculously fair bronzers out there that doesn't make me look orange. Like, it just works really well for my skin tone. So yes, it's expensive, but it's also refillable, so I will never have to pay this much again. And if I want something slightly darker, I go with the Light Physicians Formula bronzer, because that's also extremely fair and works well on my skin. So those are pretty much the only two bronzers I use, but I'm comfortable with that because I know they work for me and I know they're good quality. So you could give me, like, I think I have other bronzers I've gotten through Boxycharm or just randomly picked up to try, and they don't work as well. And so I would rather have just these two things in my collection that work really well for me than have a variety of products that only kind of work for me. And I'm not like a working makeup artist or anything. Like, occasionally I'll do my sister's makeup or my mom's makeup, but no, I don't do that often enough where I would want or need to have multiple types, like multiple different shade ranges. Like, I'm really only doing my makeup for me, so I really only need to have this one or two products that work for me. The difference, like once you get into eyeshadow palettes, that's a little different because I love the art of it. I love that part of my collection is more fun, and there can be unique colors and color combos, but especially when it comes to face stuff, which is a lot of the stuff that you get in subscription boxes, it's just not necessarily going to work as much. But I also don't want to have like just 5 eyeshadow palettes every single month. You know, that wouldn't work either. So I was really getting more excited about the skincare and the occasional eyeshadow palette, but a lot of the face products were really hit and miss for me. And so it was really getting to the point where I was feeling like it really just wasn't worth it. So I was really getting to the point where I was really just feeling like it wasn't worth it to have any of this stuff. Okay, so, don't know what sort of color I want to do. I'm gonna do a different look on each eye because I can. We're gonna do that and really test out this palette because I wanna give it a fighting chance. I wanna see what it can do. So, let's do, like, it's kind of split into this cool and warm tone. So I'll do a cool tone one eye and warm toned other eye. There's not really a transition shade, so we're just gonna be edgy and do something different. I don't know what yet. Oh, they have no cool toned like matte shades other than like this All That Sparkle is kind of cooler toned. We're doing a very sparkly look today. This is what we're learning. Oh, I should mention this is like a duochrome, but it's like the standard duochrome, like the kind of like reddish with green shift that you see in like literally every duochrome palette. Oh, okay, I have an idea. So I'm gonna do a warm toned start on the cool toned eye. It's not the most pigmented, but it's not bad. I'm gonna start with this orange warm tone. You know, I feel like it'd be interesting if you used this this pink primer like to kind of set down like a color like with an eyeshadow instead of like as a primer. Like you could also use it as a primer obviously, but okay, so I have that set down. So I'm kind of thinking I want to use this Limelight shade. So I almost always use my finger when I start out with sparkles. It's just what I'm more comfortable with. So I'm just going to tap Limelight all over my lid. Not looking too bad. I definitely have better shimmer formulas, but it's not terrible. I do feel like I'm having to dig in a little bit to get the real pigmentation. So I think I'm going to go into Dream for a liner. Just sort of see what I can create. I definitely want to spray that. Let's just see what I can do. That's not giving me super pigmented. Might just, okay. I'm shifting gears. I'm going to use that to blend out the outer corner. It's just not going to work for precise work. It's just not that kind of formula. So blow it out just a little bit. Should probably actually angle so you can see me. I don't know why I was angling that way in the first place, but you know, sometimes you do things without thinking about it. I definitely feel like this is not a $40 like formula though. It's very much giving me like lower mid-range drugstore sort of formula. That's just me. Maybe someone else who has a very different style would find it better. I'm going to put a little bit of sparkle with the same brush on just the outer corner. I'm just really trying to build up all the cool tone vibes. Alright, and I'm going to take a little pencil brush and I'm really going to take, I'm going to take Show on the bottom part of my lid. Now we're going all out with color because I have nowhere to be, so I can do what I please. So I think when I said I would do a cool tone pop on the other eye, the whole thing was I didn't have a cool tone matte. My goodness. I guess I could do, I feel like that sparkle's just not doing it for me. Hold on, spray it. It's just like not quite showing up how I want it to. Like it should be like this really, really pretty, okay, see that's better. It should be this really pretty bright shade and it just wasn't giving me anything. Okay, so I'm going to tap a little bit more of the Limelight shade over this just so we don't lose that light blue. So got that. So that's one eye down. So for this other eye, I'm thinking this Star shade is kind of cooler toned. I mean, it's still a red, but it's a cooler toned red. So it's, oh my goodness, my brush just fell apart. What the heck? Ah, it's one of my favorite brushes, so we're gonna have to crazy glue that later. That's what you do. You break your brushes, you glue them back together, right? As long as the actual bristles stay in, it's fine. Okay, so we're gonna take Star. I feel like that's kind of a dupe for Venetian Red from ABH. Has anyone ever heard of the old PV brand before? I feel like I've heard of them, but I don't think I've tried anything else from them. Okay, that's pretty pigmented. I'm not mad at that. I feel like this guy's just gonna make a lot more sense overall. Ooh, I took that up way higher. Hold on. So now almost all of the shimmers are cool toned. See, this is just weird. This is weird. Guess we're doing the, I'll do the Exhibit. So this bright gold on this eye. That glitter, like, it was so intense on the swatch, but it feels like more spread out, like when I tap it on, which is interesting. Like, I feel like I can see a lot more of the red underneath than I was expecting. I was expecting it to go on more opaque, which just means you tap on more, but it's just interesting. I was not expecting that. I bet I could adjust this just a little, because I mean, technically, I was talking about how this Dirty Martini shade wasn't quite as shimmery as I wanted, so I'm going to tap that just the slightest bit over, hold on, maybe, I'm going to put this Dirty Martini shade. See, that's getting a major hairpin. Dang it. Okay, this Dirty Martini shade is going to go over this Venetian to give it more of a cool toned effect, which obviously makes it slightly less matte, but you know, I really want this to be cool tone, warm toned, and it wasn't giving me that, so. And then I guess I'll just put a little bit, ooh, I'll put the same Dirty Martini over the orange, which will cool it down, unfortunately, but, oh, no, that was a bad choice. That was a bad choice. Okay, we're going to put a glimmer straight over that because I made a mistake. But you know, it's the fun part of makeup. You can make mistakes and you can just wipe it off. You know, it is not permanent. Okay, so I have this yellow and I'm going to definitely have to use this Deep Plug shade because that's definitely the most warm toned, intense sparkle we have. Unless I just wanted to go for, you know, straight golden, but I feel like that wouldn't fit the effect as well. Which it's coming off looking very bronzy. Interesting. So it's not like, it's not feeling as much like a pure red sparkle. It's giving me a very bronze sort of shift. Or bronzy, coppery, whatever. I'm gonna put Exhibit back on top. Yeah, these are just seeming more like toppers to me. Or like most of them are. Interesting. Okay, let's try the Focus, which is this one here. This one feels really buttery. I feel like that's looking weird. Anyone else feeling that? I'm gonna use a little bit of this uplighting for the under eye because it has the red undertones. So I'm thinking when I spread it out, it should look a little bit more, ooh, maybe not. That might have been not my smartest idea. Okay, I'm gonna take the pencil brush again. See, this is just, I feel like that's not a great shade. Spray it and see if that helps. The formula for this one just isn't doing it for me because it's giving me hard pan and then it's not, I feel like it's kind of just making my under eyes look tired, but you know, I mean they are tired, but we don't need to emphasize the fact. Actually, I'm going to use the same show shade. Kind of try and bring it together. Attempt to make this look slightly more cohesive than it is. See, that one goes nicely when you spray it. So I think the quality on this one is just very hit or miss. Definitely not $40 worth in my unprofessional opinion. And I feel like it's not as easy to do a cohesive look. I feel like it's more like a companion palette that you would pull other stuff from. I mean, I guess you have like, you know, you have stuff you can use if you want to make it a little bit more traditional, but I feel like you'd be kind of limited to do one of the two browns or red in the outer crease and then just putting something on the lid, which feels like it might get kind of boring after a while and I would just reach for another palette I like better. But, you know, whatever. So I'm just going to use my primer again on a washcloth, a tissue, and wipe up some of this fallout. Thank you, Robert Welsh, for the tip. So that's definitely not my best eye look, but you know, we're gonna live with it because we have to. Okay, so next I'm going to do my mascara. Okay, so, I feel like I pretty much said everything I want to say, like without going into specifics. Like there was definitely hit or miss stuff in the Boxycharm, but I mean, that's the risky one run with subscription boxes in general. I mean, you're gonna get some hits, you're gonna get some misses, so I feel like there's just not, I just felt like it wasn't worth it for me to keep doing it, and I could use my money better in other places, both beauty related and non-beauty related. Okay, I definitely feel like I may have waited too long to use this primer because it kind of feels like it crusted up, so it's not letting me get an even mascara application, which before I went like straight from the primer into my mascara, and I felt like it got a little bit more natural result there. Because this, I feel like I'm having trouble covering up the pink, and it's giving me kind of like clumpy lashes. So maybe you should, yeah, I feel like they look like very hard and spidery. Ooh, I'm not liking that. Yeah, maybe definitely use this like closer to when you applied the primer. Cause yeah, that just clumped quite badly. I feel like I could be a unique sales rep with these lashes. That was a dig against the mascara, not the sales reps. But that mascara, the photos you get, why am I adding more? I need to stop. The photos you get from those mascaras, the whatever, they tend to be very like this, where they're clumpy and spidery. And okay, so I forgot to grab my eyelash curler, so we're just gonna go with the classic hold your wand against the eyelash and hope it gives it a slight amount of lift and curl. Which I didn't curl this eyelash, so this eyelash set, these eyelashes. So why do you do that? While I'm doing my mascara? Really? Rude. I mean, I would definitely say I prefer the look of this eye over this eye. And it could just be how long I waited before I applied the mascara, but I kind of assumed, like I assumed when I did it last time that I was supposed to wait longer before applying them, because it definitely, yeah, other than this side being a little bit more spider-like-y, generally speaking, I'm just not going to use this extra step. So lovely. So I'm going to quickly go through the rest of my makeup. We'll come back when I get to the highlight. So, vamos. So we've gotten to the Glowdient Palette. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, because I want to attempt to use one of the darker shades as a blush topper and just sort of see what happens. So the downside is I feel like you need a kind of precise brush in order to really get the best. So I intentionally chose a little bit darker blush so it would blend out a little better. It's giving me a decent glow. It's definitely a little dark, so it's kind of dramatic. Would be more for if I was doing like a book look or something than what I would just do on your average day-to-day. And this is like a very feathery brush. It's not a dense highlighter brush, and it's still showing up this dark. So really, this would be better for foundation. But you know, we're doing our best. Okay, so I'm going to grab, where's my actual highlighter brush? So I'm going to use the very lightest shade. And I'm going to, it kind of reminds me of Force and Carriage from ColourPop. I'm just tapping that along the brightest points. I think it's emphasizing texture a little bit, but when you get into the more blinding highlights, it's gonna do that. And like I said, my skin is very textured right now anyway. And then I think what I might do is throw a little bit in my outer corner. Yeah, I just feel like it's not my favorite sort of formula for a highlighter, because I mean, it's blending, but it's definitely showing off more texture than I usually like for a highlighter. What color it would give me if I like blink everything together? Like, hold on. I just did that, which definitely ruined some stuff, but I'm not going to use this very much, I have a feeling. Okay, so let's just see. So that definitely gives me a little bit more of like a rosy blush topper sort of thing. Interesting. It actually kind of reminds me of this one I have in my like face palette. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of this one I have right here, which I believe, oh no, that's way pinker. Holy crap. Okay, okay, those are all way pinker. Never mind, I'm just very wrong. Ooh, that one's closer. Okay, so I was thinking of this one, which I don't remember what this one's from. Hold on. What are you? You are, that's the IBY highlighter in Private Jet. Wait, isn't this also IBY? Oh no, it was the eyeshadow palettes. Nope, that's OPV. Didn't I get something from IBY? No, that's Soul. I'm just losing my mind. This is what we're learning here today. So, I don't mind blending it all together for just a blush topper moment. That would be okay. It does mean you kind of blend stuff together, but whatever. Okay, wouldn't be my top choice for much of anything. I'm just going to add a little bit of my concealer because I'm still feeling like there's some stuff to cover up here. Alright, so this is the final look. Feels weird to do that, not in a book look. Anyway, so basically all I added was some earrings. So let's talk, I guess. So, am I upset I canceled my Boxycharm? Not really, because I canceled it. I mean, I can always resubscribe if I feel like it, but I kind of feel like I'm just past the subscription box phase of makeup. Aria, stop destroying the daybed. She's like, I'm going to toss all the pillows over to this side so I can curl in the corner. I'll let it pass, you're cute. Anyway, so they're good for if you're just starting off in your makeup journey, you don't know what formulas you like, you don't know what color stories you like, you just want to try some new things, get some new products, then that's really what they're good for. You'll get a really good value for your money, and you'll be able to try out a variety of things until you sort of have tested the waters enough to know what you like, what you don't like, and it honestly can like take off some of the stress of trying to like do all of this research into what you like, because generally speaking they're going to give you products that the average consumer is going to like, and you know, the different beauty quizzes and stuff, you can sort of tailor it to your wants and needs, but I sort of feel like they don't really pay much attention to it anymore, like the actual beauty quizzes, like choosing what works for you. So that was one of the reasons I left. I quit, was because I was like, I feel like it's not really tailored to like exactly what I want. But I mean, for the general new makeup consumer, I think it's still going to give you a good variety of products that you can try out. The other reason they're really good is if you do like the add-ons. So if you like the brands that they have consistently, if you want to utilize those deals, they're really good, which is why I kept my Boxycharm for so long, because I did really enjoy the add-ons. I thought the deals were really worth it, and so that's part of the reason I kept it. And it really just kind of shifted to where I wasn't as interested in the specific brands, or the deals didn't seem as good, plus having to pay shipping, you know, that kind of stuff added up for me specifically. But I still think it can be a good deal. I still think you can, you know, obviously get your money's worth out of it, but it's just not for me anymore. So I may change my mind someday, but I have a feeling I probably won't, just because, as I said, I would rather save up my money for a specific product that I'm really interested in, than get like 5 new full-size products every month and then just have products pile and pile and pile, because I'm past the point of wanting to do that with my makeup collection. I already have enough products. I don't need to just be adding 5 new ones or more if you do add-ons every single month. That's just way too much, and I'm literally not going to be able to go through it. So it's better to put the 30 bucks somewhere else. If you still have Boxycharm, what are some of the reasons you've kept it? If you haven't ever tried a subscription box, would you consider it at some point? Obviously this isn't necessarily going to be the video that will convince you, but I mean, maybe, because I just listed the reasons why you might want to try it. But yeah, so I'm, you know, when it comes to this box specifically, I'm not necessarily mad at it, but it definitely didn't convince me to keep my Boxycharm. Like, I wasn't blown away by any of the products. I think if I had to choose a favorite, I'd say the body wash, because I know I'll use this and I know I'll like it. Like, all of the other products I felt somewhat meh about, even like the First Aid Beauty one, which I usually like First Aid Beauty a lot, but the smell wasn't quite there for me, and like, I feel like it works. I mean, it seems like it's working decent as a primer, so I mean, there's that. But I would say probably the body wash would be my favorite. The other ones, I mean, either I just didn't like them, like the Lash primer, or they were just okay, like the 2 palettes. So, I mean, that's kind of what you're gonna get in a subscription box. You don't know what you're gonna get. So you might love a product, you might hate a product, you might be somewhere in between. I've gotten the whole gambit during my time using subscription boxes. And that's all I have for you today. I just wanted to come on here and make a video talking about why I stopped doing Boxycharm. And I mean, like I said, generally speaking on YouTube, you're going to be seeing Boxycharm unboxings. So I haven't really seen anyone who's like canceled the subscription box talk about why they canceled it. Like, I've seen a couple people just mention casually that they stopped receiving subscription boxes, like, oh, I stopped doing Boxycharm like 3 years back. But like, I feel like it's good to talk about why did you stop? Why did it feel like it was no longer a service that you wanted? So that's what this video is for. Hopefully someone found it helpful. If not, then that's fine too, but just wanted to make it. So that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you don't mind, please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. I make a lot of different variety of videos. This one's a little unusual for me, but I do make other beauty content and I make a lot of bookish content. So if this sounds good to you, stick around. And I mean, if this video was helpful, feel free to give it a like down below. I just completely blanked on my outro. What is my outro? Okay, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Stay magic, keep reading, and I love you all so much. Goodbye!